The Queen, her gold carriage alone is made of 4 tons of solid gold, worth over $370 billion at today's gold prices. The Bank of England Nominees Limited was established to hide the Queen's investments. Secrecy about her wealth protects her. Government and banking officials inform the Queen about where to invest her wealth. That's called insider trading, and it's illegal. But the Queen gets away with it scot-free. Why? Because she's the Queen, and she's immune to prosecution. The Queen owns more than 300 residences, including castles and palaces, crown jewels, over 27,000 masterpieces, prize racehorses, and a fleet of Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Her colossal wealth also includes crown land and investments that she inherited from her black nobility ancestors. The Queen's Crown estate includes over 50% of the UK's coastline, as well as Regent Street and Windsor Great Park. Her trillions in wealth are passed down to her descendants, untaxed. Would British tourism collapse if the monarchy was abolished? No, statistically, Buckingham Palace doesn't even make the top 20 list of tourist attractions.
Do you know how much the Queen is worth? 17 trillion pounds. That's $30 trillion. She could end world hunger and poverty tomorrow.
Besides insider trading and tax-free income, the slave trade and drug trade. Queen Elizabeth I started the British slave trade in 1564. As head of the Church of England, her slave trading of African blacks upset the moral foundations of the Church. Queen Elizabeth II is now head of the Church of England. 200 years after the slave trade was abolished, the Church was pressured into confessing its horrific crimes and apologizing for profiting from the African slave trade. At first, the Queen and the Church only admitted to owning slaves and plantations, but the public soon discovered that the Church had given their blessing to something far worse. The Church had approved the beating, mutilation, rape, kidnapping, and murder of tens of millions of Africans by declaring that Africans had no soul. This gave the Church a divine license to profit from their diabolical crimes. Even more lucrative than Queen Elizabeth's slave trade was Queen Victoria's drug trade. Opium was grown and manufactured in the British-owned opium factories of British India. China banned the importation of opium, but once the British monarch secured a drug trade monopoly, over 17,000 illegal chests of opium worth millions were forced onto the Chinese population. The British waged 3 drug wars on China to force them to pay for the illegally imported opium. China's emperor didn't stand a chance against the British East India Company gunboats and Royal Navy. The British destroyed, plundered, looted, and raped their way along the coast of China until there was nothing left to loot or plunder. On August 29, 1842, the Treaty of Nanking forced the Chinese government to pay £15 million to the British merchants to open up its ports to opium trade and to cede Hong Kong to the British. This was the ugly origin of Hong Kong's 155 years as a stolen British Crown colony.
There are people who believe that they have a God-given right to rule over others. They believe that their outward appearance is superior to all others. They harbor selfish ambitions to be rich and to have power over what they describe as common people. They lie, cheat, steal, strangle, stab and slash their way to power. They believe that their actual willpower, what the British occultist Aleister Crowley described as the will of Thelema, the royal will, must be obeyed. Literally millions of people have been slaughtered at the behest of the royal lust for war, and thousands of people have been assassinated so that demonic dukes and killer queens can reign supreme.
allow anyone to divide black people. Love yourself as a black person. Look at yourself on the mirror and see a Zimbabwean and see a Nigerian and see an African, so that tomorrow when you see a person from Zimbabwe, you know this is my brother, this is my sister, their struggles is our struggle, we will win it together. They say no, Malema says these Zimbabweans must come here, these Mozambicans must come here, we are not going to vote for him because I must go to Bed Bridge in Musina to go and stop a mother who's carrying a sick child, jumping a fence, saying, I'm in a clinic in Musina, my child is sick, can go back, you are a Zimbabwean. I am a father of 3 children. I know how it feels to see your child sick. Sometimes you even feel like taking that pain from your child and carry it yourself. With that conscience, I will never stop a mother who wants to be helped in South Africa with a sick child. What is illegal about saving life? We must love life. And when we love life, we will save it. We must love ourselves. Black people are hated everywhere. You go to America, you go to Britain, you go to Europe, everywhere. When they see a black person, they see a reject. How can we be hated all over and still be hated at home, where we're supposed to love one another and struggle together and hold each other's hand and say to those who are suffering, we suffered like you. One day you will get your freedom, and when you get your freedom, we will rejoice together. Fighters, let us defend the unity of Africa. Kwame Nkrumah fought for this unity. Julius Nyerere fought for this unity. Gaddafi fought for this unity. Robert Sobukwe, Steve Biko, Winnie Mandela, Chris Hani fought for this unity. Robert Mugabe fought for this unity. Why must we be divided as Africans? If Africa comes with new currency, that currency, we use it all over Africa, it will be more powerful than the dollar. Why? We've got more minerals than they have. We can have a currency that is based, its strength is based on our minerals. In London, where they just buried their old woman, there is too much gold. Yet in London there is no mine of gold, not a single mine of gold. This woman that Ramaphosa went to bury, running around like he's going to bury his mother to Britain, was wearing on her head diamonds that are worth 440 million US dollars. Those diamonds are from here, not in Africa, from South Africa. If we take those diamonds back and convert that 440 million dollars into rands, how much can we make from the stolen diamond that was on the head of this woman they just buried, and they say we must celebrate her?
Hold on, know that it's time to be strong. Let's all believe in the future. Together we can move on. Raise up your voice and be heard. Call it every generation. All over together.
Greetings again, sisters and brothers and cousins of the other races who support our struggle for economic equality with the other races. Welcome to another episode of the Black Economic Network channel. And as usual, this video has several segments, but the main segments, the highlights, are about the death of the Queen of the British colonial Commonwealth Empire. Also, an update, another main segment is an update about reparations. And finally, the most important highlight is about the African and Diasporan owned internet platform. And I'll just start with that update, which is that since the last last episode, I proposed that web in the two previous videos, and since then, during the course of this week, I wrote to the ADDI IT sector, and I'm waiting for a reply. Well, I'm hoping to get a reply from them soon. And I'm not that I'm waiting for the reply, because I'll continue working on this proposal and make my suggestions in the next video. In the next video, I plan to start with a simple plan proposal for that A and D web. Also, I made comments on several of the channels, the YouTube channels that I subscribe to. In their comment section, I asked for their assistance, for their support, for their involvement in this very important project. That's basically it for the moment, and thanks again for your continued support and watching the videos and sending content that I include in several videos, in all of the videos from time to time. Okay, take care, and remember to like the video, comment on them, and most importantly, to subscribe to the channel and share it with your relatives and friends and colleagues. Okay, bye-bye for now.
And welcome back. In this original Black Excellence presentation, we will highlight 11 cities on track to pay reparations to Black Americans.
Welcome to blackexcellence.com, the site where we share Black excellence, opulence, and affluence. Our mission is to inspire you as we enlighten you.
Reparations for Black Americans have been debated since the end of slavery. but the only people compensated were slave owners. The federal government reneged on a promise to provide freed slaves with 40 acres and a mule, and Congress has introduced a series of reparation bills that simply went nowhere. But the tide may be changing. Although the pace for approving reparations can be described as woefully lethargic, there are some reparation initiatives that are now starting to gain some meaningful momentum after years of contemplation. There are hundreds of communities across America who are now bringing the discussion before their city councils, and there are even a handful that have voted for and approved commissions to perform studies and engage the community. These commissions have not only drafted proposals on how to fund these potential reparation programs, but they have also presented recommendations on how to implement. In the midst of these efforts, a group of mayors have come together under a coalition named MORE, which is an acronym for Mayors Organized for Reparations and Equity. We salute these mayors, their city councils, and their communities for taking the bold step to first apologize and then take corrective action to help bolster Black home ownership, improve the infrastructure of predominantly Black neighborhoods, and offer education and employment opportunities. In this original Black Excellence presentation, we want to highlight the 11 cities on acting now to distribute reparations to Black Americans. So without further ado, let's get started. Number 9. St. Paul, Minnesota. From policy changes and federal apologies to direct cash payments, the question of reparations to Black Americans has gained momentum in St. Paul, but the scope of the discussion remains undefined. In January 2021, the city of St. Paul apologized for its role in institutional racism and unanimously passed a resolution to form the St. Paul Recovery Act Community Reparations Commission. The commission members say they're approaching the question of reparations as an open-ended one and conducting community surveys to help guide their work. The possibility of direct cash payments to Black families has been popular in some 200 surveys, but questions remain how to fund those payments. Such a request might require private sector, state, or even federal buy-in. They are considering direct payments, tax benefits, housing assistance, or educational assistance. Reparations have struck some critics as an odd discussion in Minnesota, which was always a free territory. Still not being a slave state doesn't mean Minnesota wasn't touched by the institution of slavery or the long-standing racial disparities that followed it. Today, Minnesota's disparities in areas such as housing, income, and educational attainment are among the worst in the nation. Number 10. Amherst, Massachusetts. The city of Amherst is currently working to develop a reparations plan that will benefit Black people who have faced hundreds of years of discrimination and injustice in their city. Amherst will model its reparation program after Evanston, Illinois, who plans to distribute funds to qualifying households for down payments or home repairs. The African Heritage Reparation Assembly released its initial report during the summer of 2021. Since the report emphasizes continued discussions with residents, community engagement is set to begin in early 2022. Another critical task will be implementing a Black census that will help determine the eligibility criteria. Completing this will help determine what funds are available and which municipal and community bodies will guide the work. While the town council has already approved establishing the reparations fund, no funds are yet available, though a current plan is in motion for actually transferring money into the fund. The certified free cash amount from fiscal year 2021 in the amount of $206,000 could be used to kickstart the fund. The Assembly Group is also looking at other avenues for building the fund, including revenue from cannabis sales, other city fund sources, along with private fundraising and grants. Number 11. Kansas City, Missouri. Kansas City Mayor Quentin Lucas is vowing to pay reparations for slavery to Black people in Kansas City. Lucas is working with local community leaders like Gwen Grant, president of the Urban League of Greater Kansas City. Grant has underscored the stark disparities between Black and white Kansas Cityans in areas of median income, home ownership, and poverty rates in several presentations. To address these gaps, they have joined other local organizations to form the KC Reparations Coalition. The group is currently working to identify discriminatory damages that affected Black Kansas Cityans. from slavery through the present. The coalition believes that reparations is a critical part of the process of repairing, healing, and restoring Black Americans who have been injured by the racist practices of governments, corporations, or institutions. Their proposal could include cash payments, down payments on new homes, stipends to buy vacant land, grants for home improvements, economic development programs, college scholarships and free tuition, and elimination of laws or practices that led to Black residents' oppression in the first place. The coalition is very optimistic and will be presenting their findings to the mayor, city council, and community members as a key step in approving a reparations program. In closing, we also want to give honorable mention to other cities like Detroit, Michigan, Boston, Massachusetts, and even San Francisco, California, who are also in the early stages of launching their own reparations commission and advisory committee, who are looking to leverage reparations and economic development programs to help close the wealth gap and provide better opportunities for their Black residents.
We appreciate the fact that you stayed with us until the end. Thank you for spending time with us, and don't forget to like this video. Also, make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a video. Bye for now.
Cooling on a couch, watching TV. No, I'm feeling nothing but lazy. Feeling to somebody, nothing else to do. Might as well go to the board and drop something brand new. Living on the dice, throwing shit down. Making me hard to the sound, about to stop. Hungry that I'm up for the plug now, cause I found out you liking it. Don't you want it back? Don't you want it back? Don't you want it?
We call on the lifting of sanctions against the Republic of Zimbabwe. Why are the sanctions in place for a country which is making progress at all levels? President Emerson Mnangagwa and the people of Zimbabwe have made laudable progress and reforms. We should be given a chance to succeed without the weight of sanctions.
Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your contacts. Thank you.